Welcome to another edition of Mostly Major Show. We're getting rolling, and the season is rolling. We're in week 2. AP polls came out. Some notable unranks were North Florida and South Dakota State. Okay, just want to say that. And South Dakota State women coming in
Yeah,
unranked as well.
that's the biggest crime. I think they got less votes.
No, they got two more. Two
They
more
got
votes.
two more. Yeah, so you beat the number 21 ranked team, you get two more top 25 votes.
Yeah. So they're
That's
still, I think they're like
bizarre.
37th in the country right now based on that. Unfortunate. But shout out to Aaron Johnson. I mean, what a win. They were kind of dominant in that game. Creighton gave a
Yeah,
little fight at the end, but that was about it.
yeah, they were back and forth for a lot of the game, but they went on a nice run there to end things. But it doesn't get any easier for them though.
No.
They got Duke on Sunday. That is going to be an amazing game, I hope. I'm gonna try to get in the building for that one. And but before that, they do have Wisconsin on Wednesday night. So yeah, no easy. We talked about how we talked with Aaron Johnston about scheduling. He's putting his money where his mouth is. They're not getting the cupcakes. They're playing the big dogs.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They got Kara Lawson coming to town. Those are two big name teams that are going to South Dakota. And Creighton coming up I-25 or I-29 rather. Like that's not tough. It's a 2.5 hour drive, or I guess 3.5 to get to Brookings. But you're getting Duke to fly out from North Carolina to play in South Dakota. That's a testament to what he's built and the type of success that team has had. And if they go, I think 1-1 this week with a competitive game against Duke, even if they lose that game, I think they still come out ranked. But also, I don't know because the AP voters clearly aren't watching
They don't
Summit
make
League
sense.
hoops.
Yeah, they don't make sense. I've got not a theory, but it's just like I think it's very similar to um college football where there's agendas that are pushed more
Mhm.
so than actual, especially like coaches polls, because the coach they put coaches poll. It's not the head coaches, it's an assistant coach who puts the votes down.
Yeah.
So that's, already something in and of itself. But with the AP poll, I just don't understand because like it's just illogical. Like I really can't understand how because why do you play the games? You start the season unranked and you get votes for the top 25, which is fine. You want to start they want to start them unranked valid. Maybe they don't know too much about South Dakota State. Not sure how you don't at this point, but whatever. But then you go out and you beat a team who you thought was good enough to receive the number 21 ranking in the country.
Yeah.
They beat that team at home, but they win competitive game, and you get two more top 25 votes. The logic is not there for me. I'm not
Well,
understanding.
the system is broken, and I think the whole situation with college basketball, and yes, the net comes out later in the season, and we do get to that, but I think what that first net ranking shows is that a lot of it is predicated on what the AP poll shows at that time. And look, we have all these preseason polls. Everybody has a preseason poll. Conferences have it. The NCAA has it. Everything. But I think once those AP polls come out preseason, I think all the voters throw the information they have away because that's preseason. We haven't seen anything. Now you see them check rock. They play. You see what happens. And you're like, this team's a lot better than I thought.
Yeah.
So I think that first poll should just be scrapped. I think that the second poll that comes out, which just came out yesterday, that's the poll that has to be like brand new, completely new slate because preseason is preseason. We don't know. I had a coach tell me off the record that he thinks it's dumb how conferences do preseason polls before the season starts. He said they should do that preseason poll pre-conference play. So you do it in December, you get it out there, and then people start to see it because now it becomes fodder. They keep getting asked questions about, oh, do you use this as motivation? Well, no, like North Florida was picked 7th in the A-Sun. They're 3-0 with wins against South Carolina and Georgia Tech. Like they're not a slouch, but nobody knew what they were because they didn't know about Josh Harris at the time. So I think that's a whole part of it. And obviously we'll get to that with North Florida because we have Matthew Driscoll coming up here on the show in just a couple minutes. But I think the AP poll, all of that is broken. I think a lot of people agree about that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, because it's not left up to chance. Because I mean, we saw even not last year, but I think 2 seasons ago, North Carolina, or was it last season where they came into the season? Actually, I think it was. They were number one in the
Yeah.
AP poll. They didn't finish anywhere close after. So I mean, we have these preconceived notions of teams, but once they play the games, it's not left up to chance or perception anymore. It's this is how good you are. People say, in sports, you are what your record says you are. South Dakota State is a 2-0 team with a win over a ranked opponent. And even South Dakota State men, they're a 2-0 team with a win at home against a tough opponent, and then a neutral site home game against a team that many considered as one of the top maybe 30, 35 teams in the country.
Yeah.
So I think maybe even then, you just have to reevaluate how you look at these teams, because once they play, it's not up to chance anymore. It's just like these are the results.
Well, and South Dakota State men are checking in this week with 14 votes in the top 25, and I think they're at 39 right now in the AP. So they're, I mean, keep it rolling. But yeah, here's another team that's getting 14 votes in the AP poll, and it's North Florida. We have Matthew Driscoll, the head ball coach there. He's been there for 16 years, and now they're 3-0 with two big upsets. Let's get to him.
By the way, your boy, I'm trying to see how to turn this thing. There you go. There's your boy, Liam Murphy. Hey, that joker can shoot that. Hey, that joker can shoot that thing. You know what I tell him? I tell him, when in doubt, shoot. Always be in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, he has been essentially, he had 4 threes against South Carolina. So yeah, he can definitely shoot that thing, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he should be making multiple ones, more than that even. But he's just, he's trying to figure it out like everything else. So have we started recording yet?
Yeah, we just get rolling right here. Yeah.
Okay, you already got it recorded?
Yeah.
So the one thing probably that, there's a lot of different things that people don't know about me, but I was the guy that brought my lunch in a paper bag. So obviously I got these old headsets on and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that I don't have the other ones. I do, but I only got one set, and I left them in my bag in the office. So my wife prepares me well, because our program believes that if you're prepared, then perhaps your chance will come. So so I have these extra sets. So I apologize for the old school look, but
oh no,
hey, we love it. Hey, what's in that lunchbox? What are you packing?
So my lunch bag, my brown paper bag with my name on it. There was 5 boys, and obviously when you have 5 boys, it's always a tough deal. And I was the youngest, and so we all had Kellers. So mine was yellow. So my underwear was yellow, my socks were yellow. She would stitch a couple stitches of our Keller, and that way we knew whose was whose and what's was what. And what's crazy is, by the time I got to be like 14 or 16, I knew Roy G. Biv better than anybody else in my class, because I got so many hand-me-downs. I had so many Kellers on my clothes, and I look like the what do you call that thing? Roy G. Biv. When I was a 5th grade teacher, I used to teach at red, orange, yellow, Roy G. green, indigo, blue, and violet. Yeah, so at least I still know it. I don't know the planets, but I do know that Pluto's not considered one of the planet anymore. So, but usually it was basic, bologna, ham, cheese, mustard, salami, just basic. And I remember Jimmy Truman kicked a 52-yarder in high school. I remember Jimmy, he sat at my table with me, and it was almost like, sometimes we always felt like it might have been like the Island of the Misfits. Sometimes our table felt like the Island of the Misfits. And so we sat at the table, but he always brought a Three Musketeers bar. Every day he had Three Musketeers bar. So I never forget that, and I actually fell in love with them, but I haven't had one in years. But anyways, yeah, that was lunch. But and then I think I was able to buy milk. I either bought milk or I had those. What were those things called? Like those juice. Not like they have now, but remember back in the day, they were like plastic, like little jugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Water waters.
No. They're like jugs. They're like Kool-Aid and like
Oh,
they had silver tops on them.
Yeah, the little hugs or whatever.
That's it. That's it. And if you didn't take the top off right, you could literally, like, you could slice your finger and you'd be bleeding, or you'd be like, man, I gotta go to the nurse. we ain't even at recess yet, and I gotta go to the nurse. So, anyways, growing up in Pittsburgh, my daddy delivered bread for 36 years, and my mom obviously raised 5 boys. And we weren't saints by any stretch of the imagination. But the one thing I learned is my daddy always taught me this: whatever you do, our last name's on it, so don't ever screw it up. And so that's how I kind of went about my daily grind. And so, like when I was working at McDonald's crew, 19 years old, dropped out of college. I didn't do well in college, and my dad's deal was you're either going to military, you're going to college, or you're out. Because you off the payroll. As soon as you turned 18 and got that degree, you was off the payroll. So started working at McDonald's. But there's no doubt, like if you want to go to the bathroom, you come to my toilet because it was going to be clean, it was going to be right. And like you wanted good fries, come get them out of my vat, because I was going to make sure. So that, my daddy said, treat others the way you want to be treated. But he also said this: it wasn't just the golden rule. He also added the last part. It's not only treat others the way you want to be treated, but this part's probably more important than anything. Like, no matter how they're treating you, no matter how they're coming at you, no matter how those, whatever it is, those times where those people were having it. And it happened to me in life. I've got a really good story for your podcast and for the people that listen. When I was at Wyoming, the athletic director at Wyoming, Coach Shy, got the Clemson job. And so we tell our guys all the time, like, never burn a bridge, and understand you can agree to disagree, but at some point you got to understand that you can walk away from whatever's happening too. Just, don't be disgruntled or don't be whatever. So the athletic director wanted me to stay with Steve McLean, that was coming in to take the job, because we were going to Clemson. And I was like, he offered really good money. He offered my wife good money to be the cheerleading coach. And I'm like, Coach, I'm going to Clemson. Like, I'm going to Clemson. I'm going to Clemson. I'm going to Clemson. Well, after about 3 or 4 going back and forth about how it's so good for my profession, and, he's really experienced AD and get jobs done, all that stuff. And I'm like, Coach, I'm going with Coach Shaw. I'm going to Clemson. And so then it turned south, like it went south. And I was like, whoa, like, Coach, like, we're done. I said to the AD, I'm like, we're done. Like, this conversation's over. We can agree to disagree. And I walked away. That was 1998. You ready? You guys ready for this one?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
In 2009, guess who the AD was that hired me at the University of North Florida?
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Same dude. Same dude. So my point is, and later on, people will realize, you know what? It probably was the best thing. And, Steve McLean led them to the NCAA tournament. And so you can agree to disagree, but, you treat people the way you want to be treated. But no matter how they're treating you, you always want to make sure you're trying to be a step above,
Yeah, I just wanted to I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure the viewers, they heard that you worked at McDonald's and that you were the guy for the toilet and the guy for the fries. Was there was bathroom breaks in between those, in between those jobs, right? We just so we're clear for anyone.
Oh, there's no, hey, you want to, what's funny about what you just said is every time our guys go to the bathroom before they come back on the floor, and we're in stretch line, and before I smack their hand, first thing I always say, you wash your hands, right? So yeah. But you know what? I've had an incredible life. Like God has really, really blessed me. And I think some people think the path is, this, that, or the other. And this guy did this and that guy did that and yada, yada, yada. When in reality, you got to forge your own way ahead, right? And you just got to keep on. So I was 27 years old when I got my degree. I mean, when I sold cars, I could sell Hondas like it was nobody's business. But it was back in the 80s, and people were smoking and doing all kind of crazy stuff. And I'm like, man, I ain't doing it. Man, I danced on a desk one time and sold a car. And so I told a dude, I said, hey, if I dance on this desk, we get this done, because we've been talking too much. I gave a little 2-step, and and got a little dance on the desk, and my man bought the Accord. But when I graduated at 27, what happened was that I knew. So I was a fifth grade teacher, and so I knew I knew coaching is where God wanted me to be. Like I knew that's where He was leading me, and so I wanted to coach and teach, coach and teach, coach and teach, coach and teach, and so that's what I did. And finally got my degree. Finally figured it out, and there was a lot of jobs in between. But I became a high school coach at the age of 24. And so the guy that I was an assistant for at my alma mater got fired like in December. So I became like youngest high school coach, yada, yada, yada. So I don't even know what we ended up, but I know the next year we were like 1-20 or something like that. And so we got whooped, boy. We were like the team I inherited, they had a chance. Like they were talented. But the team the next year, boy, them dudes didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing, man. We was terrible. Terrible. Hey, one time we got beat by 64.
Ooh.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you a good story. We got beat by 64. So fast forward, remember I didn't have my degree. So I'm like, finally, I'm like, I got to get my degree. Like, this is where I'm supposed to go. So I get my degree. I get a teaching job, and now I'm a JV coach, and I'm an assistant head coach. And we're getting ready to play the team. So the guy that beat me by 64 is now the head coach at like the highest division in Pennsylvania, and I'm an assistant in the same league. And they get beat. Hey, this is a great story. They get beat by 68.
Whoa.
So wait a minute, it gets better. So when they beat me by 64, like all the players, because I knew them, because I was still young, I still out playing in the parks, and so like all the dudes are like, man, coach, like we don't want to do this, like we don't want to run this up, all that stuff. And I'm like, man, hey, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. You okay? I hope you're net. So I kept the book. I kept the book that year. I kept the book. It's crazy. So fast forward, that guy gets beat by 68. So we're playing him. So I bring the book to the game, and I meet him out in the hallway, and I set it up so well. I was like, "Oh man, what's up, coach? Hey, what's up, Driscoll? How you doing, man? I'm good. Hey, man, it's crazy, man. How bad you got beat down, man? That's crazy. He did that to you." He's like, "Yeah, man. That mother effer, that dude did, that mother F did." Yeah, but I said, man, I know. It's crazy. I said, man, let me show you something. Let me just show you something real quick. And I opened up the book. I said, man, you did the same thing to me. And I walked away. That wasn't very Christian to me. Jesus Christ wasn't, well, I was casual Christian back then, but now Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. So I gotta be better than that now. But at the time, it felt pretty good.
Hey, well, you put up a 100-piece on Georgia Tech a couple days ago. I mean, yeah. not a lot of teams are doing that this early in the season against other quality opponents like that. What's this season been like so far? The start 3-0 South Carolina win, the Georgia Tech win.
I would say it's a couple fold too, because if you would go around the country, because last 5 years we've led the country in threes 2 of those years, and obviously that's our mon. We top 20 last 5 years, and we always make 10, 11, 12, 15, something like that threes a game, and like we only made 9. But if you really, really say to yourself, this, they scored 105. How many threes you think they made? Everybody in the country be like 20. They must have made 20 threes. And what's crazy is we people don't realize we just take what you give us. And so we shot 78% at the rim. 78% at the rim. And we shot 29 free throws. So you talk about guys understanding, and really, especially 8 new guys, of the 14 guys, only 13 have been with us longer than a season and 3 games. So they're really starting to understand, and we've got a long way to go. This attention and what these guys have brought upon themselves is earned. And that's what I love about it. And the reason I say that is out-rebound South Carolina, out-rebound Charleston Southern, out-rebound Georgia Tech. All 3 games, we have more second chance points than they do. which is obviously a huge test tonight because Georgia averages 19 second chance points a game. So my point is, like, the beauty, none of this is a fluke. None of this is they hit a shot. None of this is this, that, or the other. Like, these dudes have earned what's transpired because they play collective. They play their esprit de corps is just amazing. Their spirit is just really, 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 really good. And so I'm really proud of them. Obviously, we're not turning the ball over at a high rate. And that's what, I tell, we make a, like Josh Harris, obviously, I know we're going to talk about him. He's been phenomenal. But, like, when you look at a guy like him and you talk about a guy like him, like, this dude, his favorite play is a shot. Like, and I tell the dudes, like, you should never turn the ball over. Just I don't care if it's a bad shot. Just get a shot up. Because this dude can fetch like nobody's business. 6A player of the year, a little bit to this, a little bit to that, all those kind of things that kind of go along with, being that guy. And so I love the fact that this stuff has been earned and these guys have earned this.
Yeah, Coach. One thing that just doing a little bit of research, a quote that I saw, you were talking to Coach Drew. Obviously, you were an assistant under him, Scott Drew. Which, by the way, I used to work in Waco, and it's a fun place. I had a good time. You ever heard of KCEN? It was a local news station there.
Of course.
Yeah. I worked at KCEN a couple of years ago. It was great. And
how sad was that about John Warner?
Oh man. That
was so sad. So sad. So sad.
Yeah.
So sad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And I also had the pleasure of meeting Coach Drew and talking to him, and he's a great guy. And it's funny, good guys seem to travel in groups, so it's no surprise that you're a good guy too. But when you were talking to him on a podcast I saw or some video clip, you mentioned something that I think maybe today isn't as common. You said, I got to focus on where my feet are at. And you've been at North Florida for so long now that, you almost, you basically become synonymous with the school. Huh. How much pride do you take in having built something and really focusing on where you're at and not being concerned with, it's easy for a coach these days to take that step, but you just stay right where you're at.
Hey, there's a song by NF, by the way. He's the best. He's the best rapper there is, by the way. There's a song by NF, and it talks about getting buried in the ground. And so, hey, just so you know, they tried to put me in the ground a couple times too. So, don't think it was always the grass is greener. There were opportunities around the other way too. So, we didn't get this thing turned around. I wouldn't have been here for 16 years, that's for sure. But here's our saying. We've said this since the get-go, and I speak about this a lot. And life's all about putting dots on a map, and that part about treating people. But if you don't embrace where your feet are planted with a genuine purpose, like, you're going to struggle in life. And too many young people, they want it to be a microwave, minute 30, bam, ding, boom, it's good. When in reality, sometimes, and you think about this analogy, it goes along with coaching. Sometimes it might be just 20 minutes to warm up the pizza, right? Sometimes it's going to be 12 minutes on one side, then you got to flip the fish, and then you got to go another, 12 or 15 minutes on the other side. And sometimes a baked potato 6 minutes in a microwave is a whole lot better when you put it in the oven for an hour. And so, like, there's this process that goes along. And I think skipping the steps is where people really struggle. And when you try to skip steps and you try to think this, that, or the other, and also, too, quality of life is huge. We've had a couple opportunities earlier, especially when we went back-to-back championships. Our third championship, COVID came, so that obviously mucked some things up. But quality of life is critical. My wife and I, she works at the university, and our two boys both live in the city. I just became a grandfather on November 1st. So thank you. Yeah. Baylor. His name's Baylor Scott.
Hey, no way. Baylor.
Yeah. Hold on. Good story. So
yeah.
I texted Coach Drew about a month ago, and I said, yada, yada, yada. Chasing Grace, his wife, were having a baby. I said, but just so you know, when you see the name, you can do whatever you want to do with it, but it ain't got nothing to do with Baylor, and it ain't got nothing to do with you. So, but you can do whatever you want to do with it. They loved the name Baylor. They saw it. They just loved it. And then Scott, my best friend, my best man at my wedding, was his godfather was Scott Lang. And I don't know if you remember Coach. But what I love about Coach is, like, here's a penny I found in the Georgia Tech locker room, and it's got the date 2010 on it. So in 2010, Scott Lang, LaRoche College, died on the court, and at 41 years old, 14 years ago. And so that was his godfather. And so that's why the middle name. And then her dad's name is Scott. So, but that's why Baylor's got. But Coach Drew was like, "Oh man, Drew, that's awesome." I said, "Hey, easy there, bro, easy." But I think that's part of the stuff that people don't understand. And the landscape's changed, and kids are coming and going, and I'm going to officiate my 10th player wedding next October. And so, I don't know how many more I'll do, because, to build those relationships, sometimes it takes, 2, 3, 4 years. Chaz Lanier's a good example too. Here's a guy that, just kept on working, scored 17 points as a freshman, and just kept on working. And then bada bing, bada boom, he has that year he had last year, and now he's making close to 7 digits. So how do you sell that? How do you do that on your team? How do you make sure that the guys understand that, if you work, it's going to bring profit, because talk leads to poverty. And that's the problem with people. Sometimes they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, and you got to work. And so one of my dear friends, Rex Craig, just pulled up legendary high school coach in Georgia to say hello to us. And like, he understands, like, he's been around this forever. And so, like, that's why it's important. I think I'm one of 18 coaches that have been at their school as long as I have. So it's a blessing, that's for sure.
Hey, Josh Harris, you mentioned him earlier. Standout. I mean, 15 minutes against South Carolina, 4 points. It seemed like he was still trying to find his feet a little bit as a freshman, and then all of a sudden just explodes the last 2 games. I think he's missed 5 shots combined over the last 2 games. What has that been like, seeing him? And is this any surprise to you?
So, absolutely not. He's got one of the more I don't want to say awkward, because that's probably not the right word. Unnatural. He's got this unique. Let me put it this way: Josh Harris has got a unique ability with incredible soft touch for such a big physical dude, that he can score the ball in so many different varieties that it's never the same. And so I think because of that, defenders are off balance and they're not quite sure, because sometimes if you take away A, he'll go to C, he'll skip B, and then end up with D. Like, it happened in the Georgia Tech game. Like, he went to this, that, and ended up with a Kareem hook. And so, like, he loves to score. He loves to score, loves to score. And that's why I tell the guys all the time, like, we're unintelligent if we don't get a shot, because that joker just loves to fetch it, loves to get it. Incredible smile, infectious personality, literally loves life, loves people, pours into people. We have a unique group, and our culture obviously has bode well for us over the years in the recruiting aspect of it. And I say this to you guys, and I said this publicly already, so it isn't like because we're 3-0 and all this kind of stuff. Like, our staff recruited really, really well. And like, we got a lot of really good players. And because of that, like, I thought Lane Kiffin said it best early in the year when he was talking, I think their second game. Everything's about cost benefit. The benefit is we got so much talent that if a guy gets hurt, a guy has an illness, a guy has attrition, that we're able to, the next guy, so to speak. And so we're not falling off. It's really, really cool and really unique. However, there's a cost to that. And the cost is some guys ain't going to play, and some guys ain't going to play as much. You know, you look at Liam Murphy, you look at Cameron Oriole, those guys are only playing about 20 minutes a game. So, like, we've got depth, we've got talent, and we've got guys that believe. It says in Mark 5:36, don't be afraid, just believe. And so if you look at my shirt right there, that's our thing. Play to win, the confidence to finish. And the confidence to finish means you've got to believe. So,
Coach, I'm sure you know this, but you're everyone loves your comedy and your just your vibe, your animation.
I don't know about my comedy, but hey, but I know one thing, I'm going to coach these guys hard. Go ahead.
Being a guy, being from Pittsburgh, how much of where you're from bleeds
Huh.
into what you do? Because a lot of people take pride in where they're from, obviously. But you mentioned it earlier without us bringing it up that you're a Pittsburgh guy. How much of being from Pittsburgh is shown in how you coach and how you lead your team?
I know 100%. Like I'm born and bred, and I bleed, and like what the city stands for, what that city went through when I was there during the transition from the steel mill to the revitalization or whatever you want to call that. And so when you look at kind of how they progressed and the way in which they grew, and the kind of people like Herb Sendek sent me a nice note the other day, and another Pittsburgher, obviously the Miller brothers that are in the business as well too. I mean, there's quite a few. Pete Strickland sent me a nice text as well too. So like the way we were raised, and like I had a job since I was a young kid. Like I was delivering papers, I was doing everything I could possibly do. At 14 years old, I was parking cars, and it was called the Common Plea. It was right next to the morgue, which is crazy. And I'll tell you a quick story. I parked Jackie Sherrill's car one time from Pitt, head coach at Pitt, and when you opened up his door, it played Hail to Pitt. Like it was nice, it was cool. So he came to Baylor one time, and he was the Keller analyst on the Fox football game. So I went up to him and I said, "Hey man," I said, "this is gonna sound crazy, but when I was 14 years old," and I told him the story, and he's like, "Oh man, that was one of the best things about my car. Recruits loved that when they opened the door and it played Hail to Pitt." So, it just in that city, man, like it's all about people, it's all about family, but at the end of the day, it's about work, and like work, and that's what we're like, work, and so. It definitely oozes out of me for sure.
Hey, have you seen the video? I think it's from the NCAA tournament game that you guys had a few years back, and it's right before the game where your team's going out to the locker room and you're yelling to yourself, "Let's go!"
So it was the championship game of the 2017 ASUN tournament. I've been doing that my whole career. I still do it. It went viral, obviously. I wish our university would have monetized it. I'm going to tell you two good stories. It's used probably 10 to 15 times a year. It just depends in different variations. Look, this is a great story. LeBron used it once, and it was really cool. Something about, I think it was the start of the NBA season or something. But the year before that, there's a Twitter handle, and I don't know whatever it was. It was like LeBron Z James or LeBron Z something, and it was a woman. And she said, "This is how I feel when I'm waiting for my menstrual medicine to kick in." And it went viral. And I thought, oh, Lord, of all the things, can I go viral for something else, not menstrual medicine or something like that? Good Lord. But it's been something that that I've always done, just something that was in me when I first got the job, and so it's been part of our program, and it just became, ESPN caught it, and it just became a thing. So
last thing for me, down in Atlanta, What's your Chick-fil-A order? I know there's a Chick-fil-A every other block. Have you been dabbling or are you staying away from it?
So hard to get that girly figure if you too much Chick-fil-A. But I'm a simple guy. I like the original with extra pickle. I prefer McDonald's fries because I always think they're the hottest because of what I used to do in that vat. I got
Yeah,
burnt.
yeah, you're biased.
I got burnt many times, but I don't mind the waffle fries. But I think the McDonald's fries are hotter. It's funny. It's funny. I'm not going to say his last name, but Tim, who's the retired president and COO of Chick-fil-A, was at the game Sunday when we played Georgia Tech. And he texted me and said, Coach, I'm going to be late, but I'm going to come watch the game. We happened to become friends about 20-some years ago. And he had a church function, but he was there, gave me a big hug after the game. So it's funny you mentioned Chick-fil-A. So, yeah, I love me some Chick-fil-A now. Extra pickle, though. I'm an extra pickle guy. Probably because of Heinz. Because of Heinz is from Pittsburgh. Ketchup, mustard, relish, pickle, so I'm an extra pickle guy.
Hey, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. I'm glad you asked that question. I think with Russell Wilson, I think the one thing that he has is that experience and the ability to throw the deep ball with more accuracy. And I think Justin Fields is probably going to be the future. I understand something now. Obviously I've been there the whole time. So I was Noel, then I was Coward, then I'm Tomlin. So, I've been through. I'm going to be 60 this year. So I've been through all that stuff. And that's the thing about Russell Wilson with this experience, this team, and obviously he makes a lot of guys. There's a couple of them dudes making Russell look good too. But I think when you got Najee in the backfield, and you got him as the quarterback, and then of course a great set of wide receivers, and honestly tight end too. So I think Russell Wilson's the right choice, and I think Coach Tomlin's done a great job with it too, especially when Fields was playing well and winning. And he said, "Listen, we ain't got no quarterback controversy until we got two quarterbacks that are healthy to play. So let's just squash that right now." You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys had to do you had to do my Jets dirty on Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago. That was unfortunate.
Hey, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that way. I would just say we happen to be the next one that did.
Hey,
I would say we did it. I think everybody's been doing it.
Hey, it could have been 64. Could have been worse, Coach.
True that. That's fair.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate the time this morning and wish you the best of luck tonight against Georgia. Keep this rolling, man.
Yeah, it's a championship game too, which is kind of cool. This is an MTE with Georgia Tech, us, and Texas Southern. And so this is like one of those MTEs. So tonight's not only is it the next one, but also a chance to win a championship. So that's cool.
There you go. Yeah, we'll
be
watching.
Hey, appreciate y'all. Swoop it up. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
See you guys.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right,
man. Effortless.
Wow. I think we said maybe 20 words total.
Yeah, I asked a couple questions. I thought we were going to be able to get through with no questions asked, just straight.
We could have.
Just yap session.
Wow.
Good yap session. I mean, talk about the story. Wow. That was awesome.
He pulled out that baked potato reference. Put it in the microwave for 6 minutes. Tastes a whole lot better in an hour in the oven. That's that's special stuff.
I'm curious though.
Western PA.
Yeah, I'm curious though. He's Western PA guy, but he's got that Southern twang. Is that like a thing?
I guess if you've been there long enough, I don't know.
I love it. I think it's great because he sounds like you remember Rebecca.
Yeah.
Like Rebecca kind of has she's kind of like grown, like she has it, but she's kind of like it's morphed out of her the longer she's kind of been away from Florida. But I think it must be a Florida thing because he's got it's like a Florida type of Southern twang, which is it's great.
Yeah, hanging out in Jacksonville all the time. Wow. I mean, shoot, we probably did 30 minutes with him right there, just him going by himself.
Yeah, North Florida. I mean, you talk about mid-majors getting off to a good start, and I don't think you could ask for much more than what they've done. And I think also it's interesting, because they are playing, you said they're playing in the championship tonight. And I'm sure, and I'm not to put words in anyone's mouth, but the tournament, it had Texas Southern and North Florida, Georgia Tech, and Georgia. So I'm sure the Georgia Tech and Georgia thought of it as a way to kind of we'll have like an in-state
Yeah.
battle for a championship. Here comes North Florida crashing the party. Now you got a Georgia and North Florida final, and just looking at the lines and whatnot, they've got North Florida as a 13.5 point dog. I mean, they're not playing like it. They
No.
are not playing like it. They were a 13.5 point dog to Georgia Tech. And, I'd argue a lot of people probably had higher aspirations, higher thoughts of Georgia Tech than Georgia this year. So this could be an opportunity for them to maybe steal a preordained championship, if you will.
I think Georgia Tech just comes with the basketball tag a little bit more than Georgia does. Georgia historically is underperformed, I guess you would say, for basketball. Not on the level of Penn State, but those are two schools that you kind of think when you associate what sport goes with that school, it's not basketball, it's usually football. And
Yeah.
I bring Penn State into the fold just because he's a Pennsylvania guy. So, no strays shooting at Penn State. But yeah, I mean, that's their team. Josh Harris, like that first game against South Carolina, he looked a little shell shocked. And then, it wasn't as aggressive. And then all of a sudden, Charleston Southern game, 23 points, 8 of 10 from the field. And then Georgia Tech on Sunday, 8 of 11 from the field. Like, you do that, that's a problem. He's 6'8", Darren. Six
Yeah,
foot eight forward
he's
freshman.
handle. He can shoot it a little bit. He only knocked down. He didn't take any threes against South Carolina or Georgia Tech, but he went 2 for 3 from three against Charleston Southern. So he's capable of hitting the long ball, shooting well from the free throw line. 5 of 6 against Charleston Southern, 6 of 8 against Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
So and this kid's only going to get better. And it's interesting because you always wonder how much of a coach's DNA sticks with its players. This is a kid that after this season, if he continues on this path, schools are going to come calling, and it just
right.
makes you wonder, how can you retain these kids? Because I'm sure Harris maybe he's from Florida, so he
Yeah,
might have gotten overlooked. There's a ton of basketball talent in that state. So now that he makes a name for himself, you win some games at North Florida, maybe they mess around and win the ASUN and go to the tournament. Now you're looking at okay, now Florida comes calling, Florida State comes calling. LSU maybe Will Wade not too far from Florida comes calling,
true.
and now you got decisions to make. But this kid is really, really special. A diaper dandy, as Dick Vitale made famous.
Uh, yeah, there's been some crazy games. And speaking of guys who have transferred, Zeke Mayo, the game that he had for Kansas last week at Fog against was that North Carolina.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you have? 20 points. He had that assist. They're just working that Hunter Dickinson Zeke Mayo combo.
yeah, 21 points, 7 of 14 from the field.
Yeah,
And he came off the bench too. He didn't start. I don't know if that's gonna hold for the season because I was always wondering how that dynamic would work out with, they have him, they have Harris Jr.,
hmm
uh, they got Griffin as well. So it's a bit of a crowded backcourt just based on talent. You got AJ Storr as well. And now he's more of a wing type, but it's just again, there's so many guys that you got to give minutes to on Kansas. And I mean, Zeke stood out. He had
yeah,
21 points, but also had 5 rebounds and 4 assists. So he wasn't just chucking. He was playing all around well, had some crucial defensive plays. Was part of the reason why Elliot Cadeau couldn't get a shot off at the end of the game. So mid-major guys making an impact. Zeke's definitely been one of those guys. He's looked really, really good so far.
yeah. Another one is Grant Nelson last night against McNeese State. McNeese, by the way, they showed a ton of fight. That first half was awful from them. I think to put it bluntly. They came back in the second half and they were like, all right, we could actually play with these guys. We could do a little bit. And they shut down Grant a little bit, but I mean, what do you have? 16 first half points. He finished with 22, 8 rebounds. Another
I mean,
problem for
he's
any
He's
team.
yeah, he's a load to handle. He's one of those guys that I mean, you texted me saying Jokic stat line, like, yeah, he's that kind of guy where he's capable of 22 points, 18 rebounds, 13 assists. Like he's that good.
Yeah,
Playmaking is getting better. He's had one more assist each game this season. He had one in the first game, two in the second game. He had three last night. And as that playmaking continues to catch up with his ability to score the ball and be physical and athletic, like NBA teams are going to be salivating for him. Like I think he could end up kind of like maybe one of the Dalton Connect types where
yeah,
teams maybe might not be as high on him in like the top 10 per se, but if whoever takes a swing at him, they're going to be getting a really really good player. He can do a lot, and he's 6'11" and he plays like a guard. Like he is
right.
the real deal.
Hey, he's a unicorn. Uh, Rutgers, is everything okay? Like,
I mean, you got to look at it like this. I think people forget. We would always do this with Kentucky, right? Now it's different because it's Rutgers. People would do it with Kentucky, where the best players are going to be younger guys.
yeah,
Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are two of your guys, and excuse me. And I actually think Ace didn't play last night. So you got a team that's led by an 18-year-old. You're gonna have some struggles. You're gonna have some issues, and there were times where Rutgers could have really blown it up or blown it out of proportion. Um, Shout out to St. Peter's. They fought like they never let Rutgers get comfortable, which I think is part of the reason why Rutgers scheduled the game. But at the end of the day, this is also a team that's led by a freshman. Now Dylan did do his thing. He went off. He had 24 points, 6 rebounds. Definitely want to see those assist numbers higher. But he did what he needed to do to keep guys afloat. And also Lathan Somerville, another freshman, right? And he was the team's second leading scorer. So I think Rutgers is just going to keep getting better. They're definitely going to lose, a game to another ranked opponent, and they're going to not struggle, but they're going to have their highs and lows going through the Big Ten gauntlet. But this is a good test for them. So but for them to end up winning by double digits after they had multiple chances to really blow it up. I mean, they led by 11 at various points, and St. Peter just wouldn't go away. So credit to St. Peter's, but Rutgers is going to take their lumps, and this is going to be one of them. But they still won by 10, even considering how they struggle.
that's true. And St. Peter's had the classic mid-major March kind of uh, second half where they had a 5 minute scoring drought early in the second half and then a 4 minute scoring drought in the last 6 minutes of the game. And it's like pull your hair out type of stuff. Just
Yeah, like
because they're missing free throws, they're missing chip shots. Like, yeah, those are those things where you're like, come on now. I mean, they
uh,
shot 7 of 15 from the stripe.
yeah, and that's coaches always people always say make your free throws. Coaches when they say that, it's not like if we don't make every free throw, we suck. It's
Yeah,
we got to be 70 to 80%. Like we can't miss the free ones. You're never mad if your team is 11 for 14 from the line. You only miss
right.
three free throws, but you convert 11. That's pretty damn good ratio. But 7 for 15, that's it's essentially 8 free points left out there. And not to say that making, I think maybe we make free throws seem easier than they are. Like, yeah, it's an open shot. It's a little distance there. It's not exactly a layup. But yeah, 7 for 15 is definitely not going to cut it. Especially when you lose by 10 and you have that scoring drought. It's like, damn, we kind of left some stuff out there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I just want to bring this up real quick. Northwestern State, they won last night. No, they lost last night, but they looked pretty good. I forget who they played. Let me check. Um,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, they look great. I mean, they showed a ton of fight. That was another one of those like potential upsets. Yale almost had it at Butler. Um, we were kind of tracking those last night, but they have this. I'm gonna send it to you so you can see it because it's incredible, and we'll make a video out of it. They have the Toughness Timms Award. Toughness Timms Award. So whoever plays the toughest on that team that night gets to wear a pair of Tims around their neck. Like, first off, Northwestern State is in Louisiana. Okay, that's very far from New York City. But they're wearing the Timberlands, so
Yeah,
that's my favorite
timber
award so far.
toughness tip. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's almost like, yeah. That's almost like in South Dakota. Uh Jandy showed me on Twitter. There was what team was it? It was Sioux Falls, Washington.
Okay.
They would have a game changer award, and it would be like a big chain with this big medallion in the middle that said game changer on it. And some kid would get it and they would post it on Twitter after their games. So like I like when teams do stuff like that. That's awesome.
I've just never seen toughness
I've
Tim.
never seen toughness like first of all, I'm curious like what size are the Tims? And if so, why did you pick that size? And also Northwestern State, how did Northwestern State of all teams, like not St. John's, not Syracuse, not LIU, Brooklyn, not Long Island,
Manhattan,
like yeah, like not Manhattan, Wagner, even like Northwestern State ended up with the toughest tips. How did that happen? Uh,
Northwestern State, and the state of Louisiana.
yeah.
That's incredible stuff.
And they and the Southerners will try to say that they don't take anything from the North. It goes back and forth. It goes back and forth.
Culture is everywhere.
Right.
We're hearing some reports that Villanova is the new DePaul.
Oh, they not for long. If they're bad, it's not for it won't be for long. I think they're just it's just like anytime you replace a legendary coach, it's not gonna be pretty for a while. And that's kind of what we're seeing,
Well,
which
they
is
play St. Joe's tonight in the Big Five. So, and that's at St. Joe's. So they got to go into Philly and actually play a Philadelphia team. Now, if you're from Philly, you know this because people from Philadelphia do not say that Villanova is a Philadelphia team. Should they be in the Big Five? I think we need to open this up for discussion.
what makes Villanova not a Philly team.
They're ROP right outside Philly,
Right. Like, so I don't
but they're
like,
not Philly. They're not Temple. They're not
yeah. But I
St.
mean,
Joe's.
I mean, I've been to Villanova.
It's on the main line.
It's right there. It's not like that's like claiming, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like there's any like it's not like you're the Jets and the Giants with New York. Like they both play and practice about 40 minutes from Manhattan, right? In New
Yeah.
Jersey. They both play and practice in New Jersey. Now it's North Jersey, but you still gotta go a little ways to even get to MetLife, to get to New York City. And they claim New York, like they're the New York Jets and Giants. I wouldn't say it's like that. I don't, that's like, I always joke that the Jets and Giants are false claiming. Villanova is not false claiming Philly. They're literally right there. Like, if I were to drive from my house to Philly, it's like an hour. From my house to Villanova, about an hour. So what's the difference? So I think we're splitting hairs. And plus, Philly people, they generally don't like, if you're not like heart of Philly, they're very standoffish. They're like, nah,
Yeah.
you over there. It's like, whoa,
Like
oh man.
you're not born in Center City, like on Broad Street. No.
Yeah. You gotta be
Um,
Chris at Lincoln Field.
yeah. Uh, they were all born under the Rocky statue. That was the thing. Born and raised. Duke,
um,
Kentucky tonight. How do we feel?
Duke's gonna win.
You confident? You
Very.
see this kid from Kentucky talking a little trash, being like, "Hey, they see Cooper Flag, but they don't see me now."
Hey, all I'm gonna say is I hope they didn't watch tape on what Paolo Banchero did to them a couple years ago. Because they're about to get some more of that. And not even just from Cooper. The thing about Duke is I think everybody can do it. Like everybody is like scoring. This is gonna be a team where no one's averaging like 18 or 20. It's just gonna be a bunch of guys with like 12, 13, 14. Like everybody can score.
Yeah.
Shout out Ryan Curry, by the way. Hopefully we get him on the show. Army point guard. They just played Duke. And Coach K also an alumnus of Army University. But yeah, shout out my man Ryan Curry. He banged a three from the top of the key, hit the little the Jalen Brunson celly. That's like dream come true type stuff. I've literally known that kid since his head was huge and he was like 7 years old. Like I've literally watched this kid grow from a boy to a man, and now he's playing basketball at Cameron Indoor. Like that is awesome.
Do you know what that makes you?
Unk. Sad but true. Uh, sad but true. Um, Other things I saw I liked. Austin P won again. They beat Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And
Hansel
and
Emmanuel.
yeah,
Another
they're as well. Yeah, Hansley Manuel. I mean, talk about some of the best stories. We just had Matthew Driscoll on, head coach in North Florida, and their story, they're 3-0 as well. But Austin P, the governors, they're also 3-0. And they're starting a guy. I'm not sure how much everybody's familiar with this, but they're starting a guy, Hansel Emmanuel, who went viral in high school for playing with one arm. He's got one arm, but he is a freak athlete. I'm talking this kid can windmill dunk with one arm. He's cradling it with one hand and throwing it down. He had 5 points.
He had 7 rebounds
Seven.
too.
He had 7 rebounds. This is a guy with one arm
He's
getting
awesome.
7 rebounds, and we played 27 minutes. Like this isn't like a charity case. This guy is so athletic and so twitchy and so effective on the game that even with one arm, he's able to start and give valuable minutes to a Division I college basketball team. I think, among the many great stories there are in college basketball, I mean, this has to be at the top of the list easily. Hansel Emmanuel playing with one arm. I mean, I love it. 2 for 2 from the field. Um, the kid's incredible. The kid is awesome to watch. And Austin P is 3-0. And their head coach is just wearing military gear every game. I don't know the story behind that, but I'm wondering now, he's like he's like in too deep. Like now you can't wear anything else.
He was in full fatigues with the hat inside at Hinkle against Butler. And I think he got some flack for that. I think people were like, hey, take the hat off. So he wasn't wearing the hat last night against Chattanooga. So I think he's just adjusted. But the full fatigues look is crazy. I
Yeah.
kind of love it.
Do we have any leads on what the story is there?
I
Like,
don't.
did he
Let me
serve?
do a quick
I would
Google.
imagine he must have served, right?
Well, he's not wearing any patches. So
So that I mean, I love it, but now I'm confused because he's in, like you said, full fatigues. He's got the whole get up. And like now I'm wondering, like he can't, because college coaches nowadays, there's very few who wear suit and tie anymore. I think we've talked about that on a prior episode, how guys just don't really wear suit and tie anymore.
yeah,
But I feel like how do you transition from full army getup to like quarter zip? Like this, how does that happen? I feel like he's got to rock this the whole season.
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to look it up right now. Okay, there was no mention of Corey Gibson serving in the military, but
So just
the
been
university is located near Fort Campbell, which is an army base on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. So maybe there's something there, a little bit of tip of the cap, if you will. It's funny. It kind of reminds me of the U getting off the plane with the fatigues on back in the day. uh,
uh
yeah,
other
that's
things you saw that we liked.
well, Austin P is just another one of these uh, A Sun teams. The Atlantic Sun has been on fire to start league play or to start the season. I'm trying to find something here. I had kind of a list of wins that they have so far. But Austin P obviously going on the road, beating Butler last week, and then what North Florida has done, and what some of these other teams in that conference. I'm pulling it up right here. We're doing some great podcasting.
This is what it's all about.
Yeah,
The live research, it lets the people know that we're authentic. Look, we're people just like you. We prepare, but even there's things that you can't prepare for live. Like we can't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. People
that's
think
true.
I don't.
North Alabama, they're fun.
UNA, yeah.
They're playing a little Showtime hoops out there.
Yeah. That's what
I'm
we
an
need.
enjoyer.
We need, see, this is what I think what the NBA is missing a little bit, where everyone plays the same in the NBA. Like everyone's trying to shoot the most threes, you know. And now, mind you, I love the NBA. This isn't like a boo the NBA from me, but that's what I think people love in college is that everyone has a style. Like you talk about, I mean, look, North Florida, like Coach said, they lead the country or top 20 in threes. They're gonna chuck. They're gonna take what they give you, but they're gonna chuck. But then you got a team like Iowa State, who's press 94 feet all game, gonna speed you up. Then you got Virginia, pack line defense. They played Coppin State and they only scored 62 points. Um, who else do we got? We got Hawaii last night, who I was watching. They have even their own style. Like every team has a uniqueness to them, and that's what I love about college is that not every team plays the same. Like you're gonna get so many styles. I think college is maybe more traditionally like inside out, where like your big is going to get a post touch, right? But just the different style, they say styles make fights, and that's what makes March so fun because Syracuse, the only tournament success they've had recently is while I've been at school, and I always say the same thing. No one plays a 2-3 zone. So then you go into the tournament and you only get one game. It's a one game opportunity, and you play a 2-3 zone that you haven't seen all year, and they're not coming out of it. Teams are like, what the hell? What do we do? You can practice it all you want, but the way Syracuse runs it is like so unique.
Yeah.
Like just styles make fights. That's what's so great about college.
Yeah. Well, we get more tonight, and this is obviously a special edition of Mostly Major midweek. We had to get Coach on the show because they play Georgia tonight, and we wanted to chat with him a little bit about that. And so just kind of instinctually just getting some of these guys, and we may do this throughout the season as upsets see fit or as some results, whatever may happen.
Yeah, when good things happen, we're hitting up those coaches.
Yeah, we're there. We're in the SID's email inbox, and we're setting up times. So thankful to Brock over at North Florida for setting this up for us with Coach Driscoll. And yeah, I mean, another episode. We may do another one this week. Who knows? I don't know. Hoops happens.
Hoops happens all the time.
We're here for it. We're watching it. Get the quad box up tonight. Got 4 really good games. 5.
Yeah, really good. We haven't started the Big Monday and Super Tuesday part of the year, but I would argue that this is probably
we have Michigan State, Kansas tonight too.
Yeah, the Champions Classic.
Yeah,
Michigan State, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, Nova St. Joe's. Hampton plays Providence, which will be interesting. LaSalle and Cornell are going to square up. That should be a good one. The Ivy Leagues are Princeton 3-0 also. All 3 of their games have been won by 1 possession. It's ripping my head. It's tough. It's hard to watch because you're just like, can the guys have a comfortable win?
No.
Yeah, but apparently not. NJIT trying to win against Loyola Maryland. Northern Italy takes on Monmouth. Monmouth got scraped by Temple.
I think that was expected.
But it was just unfortunate to watch.
Yeah.
Binghamton, your former place of residence, plays Fordham tonight. Shout out Maria Travel Piece.
Shout out.
And then FAU UCF. Interesting matchup.
That is.
It's UCF is laying 5, but I think that could be another a 1 possession.
Yeah. And FAU, obviously the success they've had over the last couple of years. They've been put on the map. Something about Florida hoops, man. I don't know.
Some in that Florida water.
Florida and Jersey. We're seeing some teams over the last couple of years make a little name for themselves. North Florida trying to continue that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. We'll see you. We'll salute for Corey Gibson.
Well, shout out Corey
Austin
Gibson.
P.
Shout out Matthew Driscoll. We appreciate you.